Never ignore the sound of a baby crying in the woods at night. It might be the last thing you ever hear. Deep in the heart of a small country town, there's a legend so chilling it keeps the bravest awake at night. La Lechuza, the owl woman, is a story whispered by abuelas and passed down through generations. But for 6 friends, this wasn't just a story. It became their nightmare. It started as an ordinary night. Jose, Maria, Jesus, Tony, Rebecca, and Liz, lifelong friends who grew up in the same tight-knit Hispanic community, decided to gather in the woods near their town. This was their favorite spot, a clearing surrounded by towering trees, lit only by the flickering light of their campfire. They laughed, roasted marshmallows, and told ghost stories, never imagining that one of those stories would come to life. As the night wore on, an eerie silence fell over the woods. The usual sounds of crickets and rustling leaves vanished, replaced by an unsettling stillness. Then it came, a faint cry. It sounded like a baby, fragile and desperate, coming from somewhere deep in the trees. "Did you hear that?" Maria asked, her voice trembling. "Yeah," Jose replied, squinting into the darkness. "It's probably just someone's kid." "At this hour? Out here?" Liz countered, her unease growing. They all fell silent, listening. The cry came again, louder this time, as if it was closer. Rebecca stood, clutching her flashlight. "Maybe someone needs help. We can't just ignore it." "No," Jesus said firmly, his face pale. "My abuela told me about this. It's not a baby. It's her." "Who?" Tony asked. "La Lechuza," Jesus whispered. "She mimics cries to lure you in. If you follow it, you're as good as dead." The group exchanged uneasy glances. They had all grown up hearing tales of La Lechuza, a vengeful witch who transformed into a massive owl. But those were just stories, right? "Maybe we should head back," Liz suggested. Her voice cracked, betraying her fear. Before anyone could agree, a deafening screech tore through the night. It was unlike anything they'd ever heard, part animal, part human, filled with rage and hunger. The fire flickered violently, as if the very air had shifted. "Run!" Jose shouted. They bolted, leaving the safety of the campfire behind. The forest seemed alive, branches clawing at them as they sprinted. The cry followed them, but now it wasn't a baby. It was laughter, cold and cruel, echoing from every direction. Maria was the first to see it. A massive silhouette perched on a low-hanging branch, illuminated by the moonlight. Its eyes were unmistakable, large, human-like, and filled with malice. The creature spread its enormous wings, feathers as dark as midnight, and let out another bone-chilling screech. "Don't look at it," Jesus yelled, grabbing Maria's arm and pulling her forward. "Keep running." The group dashed through the woods, hearts pounding, lungs burning. But La Lechuza was toying with them, appearing and disappearing, her cries weaving through the trees. She swooped low, her talons barely missing Tony as he dove to the ground. "She's hurting us," Rebecca cried. "She's not letting us leave." Panic set in as they realized she was driving them deeper into the forest. They huddled together, backs against a large tree, desperately trying to catch their breath. "We need to distract her," Jose said, his voice steady despite the terror in his eyes. "Split up. She can't follow all of us." "Are you crazy?" Liz hissed. "We'll never make it." "Do you have a better idea?" Jose shot back. Reluctantly they nodded. One by one they broke away from the group, running in different directions. The forest swallowed them whole, leaving only the sound of their ragged breaths and La Lechuza's haunting cries. Hours later, as the first rays of dawn pierced through the trees, the group stumbled back to their town. Exhausted, scratched, and terrified, they regrouped at Jose's house. Somehow they had all survived. They told their families what had happened, but their story was met with mixed reactions. Some believed them, saying they were lucky to have escaped with their lives. Others dismissed it as a cruel prank or the overactive imaginations of teenagers. But the 6 friends knew the truth. La Lechuza was real, and they had been her prey. To this day they refuse to go back into the woods at night. They'll never forget the eyes watching them, the cries luring them, or the overwhelming sense of being hunted. Want more chilling tales like this? Hit subscribe or check out our next story, if you dare.